Welcome back, everybody. Just give me a second to set things up. All right. Okay. Welcome back, everybody, to again new video in Hacker Rank of Awesome. So today we'll be looking at what we'll do to increase the rank. So previously we have done till as Behemoth 3, right? So now we will do Behemoth 4. And yeah, today so here am I. So I'm just in rank 2344, and today my goal is to surpass a country rank, which is Stormworm 29. I think it's gonna be easier than you think. Let's see who else is there. Okay, Tanuj Vaja. Okay, so we'll try to bypass this person as well. So I'm not sure. This person has played 10 websites. So let's see what he has, he or she. Okay, so mostly it is CS Tutoring Center. I'm not sure this exists right now in the list of these things. CS Tutoring Technique, no. So that has been I think delisted. Anyway, so now what I'm doing is I'm gonna bypass two of these users, two of the country ranks, to get to the next level. Okay. Right, so the password for the previous level is already here, so I'm just gonna copy it. Just let me see. Give me a second, just setting things up. Okay, we have quite a few viewers. Just gonna copy this, paste the password. Okay, we just closed. Okay, so till here we have already done. I'm not sure if we typed vshell command. Okay, we have already done that. So cd behemoth, and let's see, so ls-l. We have all of these binaries, and now this is our challenge. So we have access to execute it, and when we execute it, we will execute it as Behemoth 5 because of this security permissions, right? So let's try to execute Behemoth 4. It says PID not found. What's happening? ltrace. So we use ltrace to check all the libraries that this one is trying to execute. Okay, so all these dynamic links that are being executed. Okay, so it used sprintf, fopen, and so on. All right, so here what's happening is it just started this main function, and then it got the PID, the process ID of this Behemoth 4, which is this one, and then it just printed out. So printf is normal command, normal shell command, but sprintf is different. Okay, it's slightly different. So basically sprintf just stores this whole string into a buffer. Okay, it will not print out to the standard output, right? So what is this number? This number is same as this number, which is the process ID, right? So basically it's trying to print out the process ID, I mean the this particular thing, and it's trying to open this file as read. Okay, so when it's trying to open, it says PID not found, PID not found, right? So that's basically what's happening. So let's create a place where we can actually access such files. Okay, so something like something we can access. So what do we do? So how to get this PID anyway? So let's try something. So sleep, let's say 1000. So it will just sleep for 1000 seconds, and let's run it in the background. Okay, and once it is running in the background, it created this thing, right? This number. And if we just use dollar and exclamation mark, so this basically gives us the process ID. Okay, so if I hit this, I got the same number, right? So basically this is running in a process, and the process ID is received to us by this dollar and exclamation mark. Okay, so let's see jobs is the command which shows the list of, just a minute, I got a call. Sorry. So basically this jobs command will just list all the background processes, right? I hope you're able to hear me. Yes. Okay. So just gave this job which is actually running state. So if we bring that to the foreground, it's actually running, right? So basically the process ID is this one, and we can actually list them and we can actually see them, right? Okay, so let's cut it, and we'll use this thing to actually get this process ID and store it in a variable and create this file, okay, which is in temp directory. And we will actually link, because it's opening this file, we will actually link this file to password of behemoth file. Okay, so these are the steps. So I'll just write it over here. So just like we did here, we are going to run the process in the background and get the process ID. Okay, so what was the process? It's behemoth/behemoth 4. Okay, so this is the process, right? So we will run this in the background, and once it is running in the background, before it goes to this next place, we will actually stop it, and before we stop it, we will actually get the process ID like this. Okay, so let's say process ID equals to this thing, okay, dollar and exclamation mark, right? And finally we will stop it. Okay, so basically this stop command and basically kill command has a lot of other things as well. So it can kill a process, it can hold a process, and it can do a lot of stuff with the process. Okay, so this stop option will just hold it in the background, just like Control Z. So if you just run sleep command again, something like this, and not in the background, so it's actually running, right? So if we use Control Z, it will just stop, but it's still in the background, right? We can bring it to the foreground if we want. Okay, so basically this is what's happening. Like when we want to stop for a while, so just hold it in and run it in the background or something like that. So we'll use this kill command. Okay, and we'll give the same process ID. We'll just want to stop this process, and once we stop it, what we're going to do, we're going to link certain file, which is behemoth 6, behemoth 4, behemoth 5. So behemoth underscore pass behemoth 5. Okay, so we're gonna send a soft link of this file to the file which we want, right? Which is the process ID, which is located in /tmp directory. Okay, so we'll just paste it over here. So basically we start the process. We store the process ID in this variable called process ID, and then just after it starts running, we won't let it go to the next phase or something like this. So we'll just stop it right here, and then we create a soft link for behemoth 5 to this one. Okay, and once this is done, we'll again continue the process. Okay, basically it's just continuing this process ID. Okay, so this is what we will do step by step. Okay, right, so just remember, we run the process, and while it started running, we get this process ID, which we store it in this variable. We stop the process ID, we link it, and then we continue the process. Okay, so in these steps, if you see, okay, it just prints out this thing, but when it let's say one of these steps we're just stopping it. Okay, and then once it tries to continue, it will go and go to this file open phase, and then it tries to execute whatever is here, right? So we'll just copy this, and we can actually create right here. Let's try running it like this. Okay, so as you can see, it just ran, it gave this process ID, it killed, which means it stopped for a while, it created a link, right? And then it created a link to this process ID, and then it continued the process ID, and it gave the password for us. Okay, so this you can run directly in the shell because everything is a shell script, right? So you can directly run all the steps right here, or you can actually create a file, okay, something like this, mktemp/t, or you don't need that, you can just create an empty file like this and you can actually use that file to store all these things. Okay, so chmod 777 and paste it, and then nano this, paste it, come on. Okay, and get the script, control C, all right, paste it, control X, Y, enter. Okay, and then you can actually run this file like this, and you get the same output, right? So this is the password for the next level. Okay, so we haven't checked what's going on inside this binary, so we'll just see what we can do about this. Okay, so we'll use a special tool called R2 to visualize what's going on inside this file. So let's hit enter. Let's see if there are any comments. Okay, right. So here we are using R2 command, so which is I'm not sure how to pronounce that. so rar something like that, and then this is the file, and we are actually using this R2 to actually visualize how this binary actually work in the background. Okay, so once you start running that, you can actually use bunch of A's, like 4 A's for actually analyzing the whole binary, and then it gave all of these outputs, right? And then what you can do is, one of these files is main function. Okay, so to check that, you can use AFL, which is actually analyze functions and list them. Okay, so that's what it is. So it's a bit tricky, you need to remember these things. So actually by seeing it, they don't mean anything, but for R2 it actually means something. So it actually listing the functions which you have analyzed. Okay, so that's what it means. So if you hit enter, you see bunch of all these functions, right? One of them is main function. Okay, so you just copy that, and now you change from this location, which is actually pointing to this one, right? So this is actually pointing to this one. Now we are changing it to main function. Okay, so for that you just seek function, so seek function or select function, anything you want, and paste the main function like this. Okay, so now we have changed from entry 0 to main function. All right, so now you can actually print the disassembly of the function main. Okay, so you can use the same command, something like this. So print disassembly of the function main, right? So now it gave all this disassembly code, which is quite huge, right? And it have bunch of arrows as well. Okay, so that's interesting. So which means it's just jumping from here to here, and it's also jumping from here to here, right? So it's pretty clumsy right here, right? But we can actually visualize this using a command like vv. Okay, so visualize something like this. So here we have like a piece of code which is actually checking something, and once it reaches to something that it can actually compare, right? So it's trying to compare something, and if it is yes, it will go to one path, and if it is no, it goes to another path. Okay, cool, right? So it's trying to compare this thing, and if it did not found, it says PID not found. If it found the PID, it just goes to this sleep thing, and it also jumps to this location right here, and it also uses this f get c, which is actually getting the file in the form of stream, and finally it, if it is yes, it will print out the file. If it is no, it will just say close, it will close the file or something, right? So that's how we actually got the password for behemoth 5. Okay, and finally the system exits right here. Okay, so once you visualize this, you can actually check all these functions as well. So I'm not going to go into deep. So we have already seen how we actually check that, and you can actually quit out of here, and we already have the password for the next level. Control C, and then exit out of here, and what do we do? SSH behemoth 5, paste it, and here we go. Okay, cd/behemoth ls. Okay, so it's the same thing. So behemoth 5. Okay, it just ran and then it stopped working, so we don't know what's going on inside. So let's use ltrace. Okay, so now directly it's trying to open this file as read, and when it's trying to check the file permissions, it does not have file permissions, so it's actually printing this error right like this. But if you know, this behemoth 5 actually has the access to the password of behemoth 6, because when we execute behemoth 5 we are actually executing as behemoth 6. Okay, so ls-l, so behemoth 5. Okay, so we're actually executing as behemoth 6, so at that time we had access. Okay, so that's why it did not show any kind of errors right here. But when you use ltrace, you're actually executing as behemoth 5, not as behemoth 6, so that's why it showed permission denied. Okay, so once you understand that, let's try, and there's nothing much here, right? So let's try to use pound debugger. Okay, we already said like we'll be using all these commands. So actually this over the wire has this commands which are listed in their Discord server, so you can actually go to behemoth 5 over the wire, and then is there any other chat? Okay, so here there's information slash chat. Okay, so go to this Discord link, and then you can actually find all these commands except the last one, which I created. Okay, so you'll find all this, and once you hit enter you can actually use pound debugger. Okay, so pound debugger slash q, which means run quietly of this behemoth 5. Okay, so just hit enter and it will run everything. So now you have this pound debugger prompt. So in this pound debugger prompt, we'll just disassemble main, and it just spit out like a bunch of commands. Okay, it's huge, right? So let's try to understand what's going on here. So we know that the file is actually fetching the behemoth 6 file as read. Okay, so when it's using fopen command or fopen function, so it's actually taking these as arguments. Okay, so what is stored in these in this location? So to check that, you can let's say x/s, which means examine the string at this location. Okay, which is r. So basically if you go to the top, you can see that r is the argument of this function, fopen function. Okay, so the other argument is this one, right? So which means if we select this, copy it, and examine this string, so it should be this one, right? So behemoth 6 5. So you can actually examine all this push location, memory location, and you will actually get something out of it. Okay, so let's see what we have. So basically it's just opening the file. If it cannot open, it's gonna print some error. So we already seen that error, like file permission not found, something like that. Okay, permission denied, something like that, and it exits with exit code 1. Okay, okay, so if that's not the case, then it's gonna jump to main plus 99, which is just after the exit, and then it's gonna seek, it's gonna run fseek, which means it's gonna look for the file, and then it's gonna use this ftl command to tell this function or something, I'm not sure. So it's gonna look for the file, and it's gonna just use, let me just run this man ftl. Okay, so basically fseek, ftl, and rewind. So basically reposition a string. Okay, so let's see. So basically there is a stream of bytes in this file, whichever fopen tries to open. Okay, so it's gonna take the stream of the bytes from the file, and then it's gonna rewind, which means it's again goes to the beginning of the file, and then what it's gonna do, it's gonna store it. Okay, malloc means store it, memory allocation. Okay, so it's gonna store, it's gonna look for the file, it's gonna tell about this file, it's gonna rewind, which means it's gonna go to the beginning of the file, and then it's gonna store all the stream to this malloc. Okay, and then there's fgets, which actually gets the location of this memory, and finally it just checks the length, and then it's gonna print or something, and then okay, so it's not gonna print. And then it's gonna check something here, and then the file is closing. If it's not the case, then it's gonna get host by name. Okay, so it's getting the host by name. So to this function, this is what is being pushed, right? So we need to know what's inside this push location. So how do we check it? x/s, which means examine the string located here. Okay, so basically it is looking for a local host, which is interesting, right? So get host by name, which means it's gonna get local host, and then it's gonna jump to this 277 if it's not the error. Okay, so 277 is this one. If it did not get the location, then it's gonna print out as error and exit code as 1. Okay, so if it actually got the local host, then it's gonna jump to this location 277, and then it's gonna push these parameters, these 3 parameters or the arguments, into this socket function. Interesting. So socket function is taking these values. So what are these values anyway? So first of all, you need to understand what socket actually does. So man socket. Okay, so it create an endpoint for communication. Okay, so basically it gets the content of the file, and then it's go to the local host and then opens a socket, and these are the parameters, and these parameters mean something. Okay, so we'll just talk about this just a minute. And there is something called socket.h file. So we're going to look into this file as well. Okay, so all these are parameters, so we're just going to quit, and we're going to look for locate, okay, bits socket.h. Okay, so we're going to look for this file, and then let's open this file, and here let's expand this. Okay, it also going to check for the types.h file. Okay, we're going to look that as well, but as of now, okay, there's another type, we're going to look for that. So what do we know about it? We know that there is 0 and there is 2, right? So these are the numbers which we see, 0x0 and 0x2. Okay, so basically the 2 refers to IP protocol family. Basically it's looking for an IP address which is like a local host or something like that, right? So, and this one is the name, which is currently unspecified, and if it is unspecified, it's also okay, right? So basically it's just telling that even if it is unspecified, which is 0, it's okay, which means it's gonna take whichever it's running from. Okay, basically it's looking for localhost. And the second one, which is actually the type. Okay, so we'll just look into that as well. So let me just open it right here. So man socket, it is a standard C library, and it has int socket int domain. So domain is basically the IP address or the name of the server, which in this case is localhost, which is currently unspecified, which means it will take the localhost itself. Okay, and the type, we haven't talked about type yet. It should be in the types dot socket underscore types dot h, but this one is the protocol, which is IPv4 IP protocol family, right? So let's control X this, and we'll also check for type, which is this one. And in this particular header we will discuss about this number 2, which is the type. So sock dgram, right? So this sock dgram is connectionless unreliable datagrams of fixed maximum length. Okay, so what do you call this? This is a UDP protocol, right? Unreliable datagrams of fixed maximum length. So this particular socket is connecting to a local host. So we'll just make a note of it. Socket. Okay, so first of all, get behemoth 6 file, store it in memory, which is malloc. We've already seen that. And what's the next one? It's going to open a socket with localhost, socket with localhost, and it's also using UDP type. Okay, it's using UDP protocol. And what else? And it's also using IPv4. Okay, IP protocol family. And what else do we know? Okay, so let's quit this and also quit this one as well. So once this socket is done, it's gonna move to this location, which is 329. Okay, so here it's gonna change this value, something like this. Okay, so basically this a to I function is nothing but whatever is there. Basically, usually it's a string, right? So it will try to convert this string into integer. Okay, so that's what it means. So a to I is nothing but conversion of string to integer. So here it has to be a string and it can be converted into an integer, right? So basically, let's see what's inside this x/s and then this memory, and here we have 1337. Okay, so basically, where is this? This location has 1337. Okay, and it's opening a socket with unspecified domain, which is localhost, and type is UDP and IPv4, and we just mentioned the IP address and something, we just opened it, right? But we did not mention which port to connect, right? We did not mention the port to connect. So here the port is mentioned, and that port is 1337. Okay, that's a string. And once it gets the string and converts it into a number, it's gonna send it to this location. Okay, and once this h turns, so h turns is nothing but h2ns. So basically, like, it's going to send it to something that is name server or something. Okay, so it's sending the traffic using this, and once it is done, it's gonna set the mem location. Okay, so it's setting some mem location. So it did not have any data to read. It's not like we have a push notification or something. And finally, once it gets the length, it's gonna send it. Okay, so it finally got all the information. It got the socket, which is localhost. It's opening the UDP and IPv4, and finally it also got port number, which is 1337. Okay, it's gonna send data to whoever is listening and port 1337, right? So it's gonna send the contents of behemoth 6. Cool. So someone has to listen in that location, right? Only then you can actually send it. So you can actually do it in couple of ways. So you can actually have a new session right here. So something like behemoth 5. What's the password? The password is this one. Okay, so clear. So here let's use netcat to start a listener, and you can use UDP port on port 1337. Okay, so you can actually combine all these options into a single one. So basically it's a listener, and it's opened a UDP port, and it's opened a port on this 1337. Okay, so I can run something like this, and it's listening right now. You can send traffic, and now let's run behemoth 5. Okay, so now it does all these things and send the password of behemoth 6 to here, whoever is listening. Okay, so let's say I don't want to use multiple terminals or something like this. Okay, so in that case, what I can do is I can run a netcat listener, okay, on 1337 running in the background. Okay, I can run it in the background, right? So I hit enter and now I can actually run this command, and if I run this, I actually got the password right away, right? But this command is still running in the background. Okay, you can bring that to the foreground using FG. Okay, sounds cool. Or you can use one more thing. Okay, you can use tmux. Its tmux commands are a bit pain. So if you just hit tmux, okay, so if you just hit Control B and then comma, you can actually change this name of this particular window. Okay, so I'm just making it as a listener, and I'm running a netcat listener right here. Okay, and now Control B, and then I've create a new session. Okay, so everything is a tmux session. It just created some child process and created a new session. Okay, you can just navigate back and forth. So I just went back here. Okay, so I can go forward, something like this, and here also I can change the name. So changing the name is not necessarily useful, so it's actually useful to keep track of the session which we are running. Okay, so here I'm just gonna say behemoth 5, and if I run behemoth 5, it actually sent the password whoever is listening in the listener, right? So Control B and then previous, and I can, as you can see, everything happened in a single terminal, right? So in this way you can actually use all these things. So exit out of here, and we're back, right? Okay, let me see if I have anything in the chat. Nothing. Okay, cool. So we got the password. Let's store the password here. So just like previous, if you want to use R2 command, you can actually use that in the behemoth 5. And AAAA, just like previous, we're just analyzing everything, and it analyzed the whole binary file and printed out all these things. Okay, and finally, if I want to list out all these functions, I can see all these functions which are there, right? So fgets, fclose, rewind, hturns, fseek, and so on, right? All these functions. And if I want to run a disassembly on this main function, I can actually do that. Okay, so first of all, before that, I need to change this location from 150, which is this one, to main function, which is this one. Okay, so for that I just have to say seek main function, and then now it has changed, right? And now I can run PDF main. So it has bunch of arrows. So to visualize this, you just use VV. So now you can visualize these things. Okay, so it's sending the string, and if it cannot use that, it's gonna print error. If it can use that, it's gonna go to this file stream, ftell, f everything. Okay, so finally it has this local host, and here get host by name, and then use arrow keys to actually navigate through this visual thing. And it has a socket which is actually saying 022, and as I said, it refers to the IP address and domain and type of the connection, which is UDP. And here it opens a socket. If it cannot detect the socket, it creates an error. If it can, it's gonna send this string to convert it into integer, and then it's gonna send it to HTONs. Okay, and finally we get the solution, and here it's finally it's sending it to whoever is listening on port 1337, right? So right, and I forgot to do this vchel. Not sure if it's working or not, but it should be working. And let's go back and see if our rank has boosted. Okay, we have passed the Stormworm. Who is that? Stormworm 29. Okay, so now our rank is different. Okay, page. Okay, right here. So we have passed this person, and now we are right here. Okay, so what is our score? Our score is 173 points extra. Right, so I'll just exit out of here. And now let's go to Behemoth 6 because we have the password. Okay, right here, paste the password, and reach out. Okay, it's gonna take some time. Let's see the chat. Chat is very active today. 0. Interesting. Okay, I got 174 points. Here I got 173 points. Okay, basically you're increasing 1 point every time you solve a new level. Okay, so let's see my location. Did I bypass? Oh my god, I crossed another person right here. So let's just reload. I should be going from 47 to 46. Oh, I'm still at 47. Okay, so I just need to remove this. Okay, currently I'm at 46, and I have crossed this person as well. Interesting. All right. So how long was the stream? Okay, it's almost like 50 minutes. So we have crossed 2 country ranks. I'm gonna change this to 34. And what's the country? I mean, the name. Global rank is 2294. Right. Finally, who is our next opponent in my country? And how many points do I need to score to get to that person? Okay, here we go. Here we have DEEEY. Not sure what the name means. So 33. So I have to get to 33. So he used over the wire and deep in the web. Interesting. He also has a website. Check sec again. Okay, basically write-ups. Say future. Good. What's my score? Okay, so let's see. Let's do some calculation. Let's paste this minus my score, which is this. Okay, so 300. So I have to cross 2 more levels. So basically I'm at 174, right? So I'll just subtract 175, 176. Okay, so I can win this, and I can buy and I can cross this person and get to rank 33 next time. Interesting. So who else is next? Okay, it's gonna be hard to get to this level. This. Okay, anyway. Plus 175 plus 176 plus let's see, 11138 minus 11487. So I'm gonna need interesting. Okay, so now that I crossed 2 ranks, next time I will cross 1 rank. I'm gonna solve 2 of this behemoth final labs in the next live session, and I'm gonna get to rank 33. Okay, all right, then I'm gonna close this live stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it, solving binary exploitation and time of check and time of use and sockets and other things as well. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.